All right, welcome back to the show. You have heard me and Mike Irwin's thoughts on this game yesterday that we saw between Arkansas and Missouri. So it's time to get our former Razorbacks thoughts. Travis Swanson, Austin Allen joining me. And guys, hard pill to swallow. Still kind of trying to look back and see exactly what happened. But as we always do, just kind of overall thoughts on this game. Austin, we'll start with you.
I thought KJ Jefferson played a heck of a game. For him, I'm sure he knew all week that he was starting, but for him to go out and have the game that he did to show the leadership qualities, hats off to him for playing so well. Treylin Smith and Treylon Burks continue to shine. And then defensively, just couldn't get the big stop. I couldn't stop the run, couldn't set an edge. But overall, I thought offensively kept him in the game. Guys showed out. And really just proud of KJ Jefferson, the way he handled the starting role.
hmm Yeah, I would agree with what you said, Austin. I think for me, when I was watching this game, it just felt different than what we've seen so far this year. Because obviously the defense had a harder time yesterday, which, I mean, understandable. You're going to have some of those every now and again as the season goes on. But the offense seemed like it was clicking really, really well. You know, uh, did KJ know that he was gonna start the entire week or just right before the game? It's gonna be hard to figure out if that's what's true or what's not. But I think he had a great game to come in there and do what he did the way he did. I thought the offensive line played really, really well. Um, so yeah, I think it's unfortunate the way it turned out. It was an emotional roller coaster, uh, especially for me watching it.
Mhm.
But I think, as I've said before, there's a lot of good things to still take away from this. Let's not just focus on the negative. It was a very high scoring game. Um, but learn from your mistakes and move on to this last one against Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the defense, though, it was uncharacteristic for both defenses, Missouri and Arkansas, giving up more yards offensively than they have all season. But over 600 yards of offense for Missouri, and this defense for the first time really just looked uncharacteristic compared to what we've seen before. And Travis, you mentioned that's going to happen. But do you think you could put maybe on a finger on why it was happening?
It's always hard to tell, unless you have just one player where someone might have a completely blown assignment or blown coverage. When you look at things over the span of just a game, it's always hard to say, well, it was this or is this. I think it was more of just, I call it a popcorn effect. One play it's this person, one play it's this linebacker or this D lineman or what have you. And collectively, when you kind of snowball that over the course of a game, it's going to give you kind of what you saw yesterday. And then factor in, okay, what kind of adjustments did Missouri make at halftime? Because they did. Um, like I said, I think it's okay to have just one of those games. It's unfortunate the way it turned out. Um, I thought at the end of the day, offense really stepped up. Special teams stepped up with that fake field goal. So that was some good things to see.
Well, what, Austin, do you
Yeah.
think maybe possibly are you playing too hard for Barry Odom? Maybe that become a factor?
I maybe in the first few drives, maybe their energy was up and maybe miss a few assignments trying to make a big play. But I think things turned whenever Grant Morgan got hurt. I
Mm.
think him being the general out there, getting guys in the right positions, filling the right gaps, and I noticed especially the run game for Missouri. Once he went out, it seemed like our linebackers might not have been filling the right gaps, and that's why you saw the big runs where it's one on one with the safety. And then also, Missouri's quarterback played really well. I thought we had good coverage on the outside for most of the day, and he put the ball in the one spot that his guy could get it, and they made plays for him. But without seeing the game tape, it's hard to tell what went wrong. Just from watching on TV, it couldn't seem like we set an edge where they were able to get outside, get to the sidelines, and make some big plays. So um, I think that's where it really starts setting an edge and filling the right gaps.
Let's talk about that 2-point conversion because I would love to get your thoughts on how you guys were feeling when that was when that was happening and that was the play call going down. Austin, we'll start with you. Kind of what was going through your mind as you were watching
Yeah,
that real time.
yeah. My neighbor called up and asked if everything's okay because we were all jumping up and down up here. But um, you know, when he threw it, I was like, oh man, what a tough way to lose the game. But for Mike Woods to be Johnny on the spot and make a play, I mean, that's big time. And good for KJ Jefferson knowing the situation, just throwing it, where taking a sack or throwing it out of bounds. I mean, he needed to make a play and he did. And luck was on our side on that one, but still gave him a little too much time there at the end.
Yeah, like I said before, the game was a complete emotional roller coaster, at least for me. And then that play in particular, just because it's, I still have kind of that mental clock in my head of when you typically have that ball thrown, and then when you see kind of KJ back there scrambling, taking longer than what he should, or not that he should, but the play's just taking longer in general. You're like, oh, how's this going to work out? Then you see him throw, and it's like, ooh. And then to see the sequence of how it kind of played out and uh, how we got those 2 points were unbelievable. And then it's actually really funny if you go back and watch it, you can see Juracek and everyone on the sideline just completely losing it right there, which was I think everyone's reaction to it.
Yeah, that definitely was a bright spot. One of the guys who works for the university in the SID department, those guys are just full with stats in their head, right? You guys know that. But continuing to tweet out just like Treylin Burks, is now number 3 on the all-time, yards per game list behind Kobe Hamilton and Jarius Wright. And then Treylin Smith is the first guy to rush for 3 touchdowns since Raleigh Williams did in 2016. I mean, like you mentioned, Travis, there was a lot of good things that happened in this game, and Arkansas set a lot of records or did a lot of things that they haven't done in a long time. How good was it to see, maybe again, trying to look at the silver lining, that these guys continue to get better?
Well, I think just look at where they were a year ago and the past just couple years in general. And it's relatively with the same players that are in that locker room. Now, I think when you extrapolate this out and you look over the long term of what this can be, if they keep the same coaches around and keep going to work the same way that they are, what can this be? I think they can be a legitimate SEC contender, and I think they will in the future. Now, I think we should definitely have a couple more wins under the belt this year for a handful of different reasons we don't have to get into. But yeah, I think the future is really, really bright. And if I'm a recruit looking out at the kind of college landscape, for me, you might call it a little biased, but I was like, how do you not want to come here? Just with everything going on, the area, the people, the team, the coaches. It's really, really awesome to see kind of Arkansas get back to where they should be.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm excited for the future. I know this year it's just a weird year where I'm sure people are, it's already December 6th. It's been a long, weird year for everyone involved, and to be able to see KJ Jefferson, Treylin Burks, Treylin Smith show out the way they did, and then knowing the recruits that Coach Pitt's going to bring in, I mean, there's nothing to be but excited for the future. And just from what they've shown all year, they're going to go in every single Saturday and play hard. Where this isn't a team that's ever going to lay down or give up. I mean, even yesterday they've scratched and clawed all the way to the final whistle. So I think that's credit to the coaching staff. And then really for the future, I mean, just knowing how Coach Pitt recruits, he's getting this thing turned around. But I think within the next few years, it's like Travis said, legitimate SEC contender.
Well, that leads me into my next question, guys. Looking ahead to Tuesday is the 1-year anniversary of the day that Sam Pittman was hired. And it's a special day. I know that was a really big day for both of you because you got to play under Coach Pittman. What has this year been like? Kind of just think back on this year with Coach Pittman at the helm and everything he's gone through. How do you think year 1 has gone and how he's handled everything, Travis?
I think it's been really, really good. I mean, like you said, look at 2020. How else are you supposed to handle it? I know everyone was you have guidance, quote unquote, from the SEC on how to mitigate or try to mitigate COVID. But for Coach Pittman to come in, his first theoretically head coaching job, get the staff he did, handle spring ball, shut down, and then still just have the success in an all SEC schedule. I think to me, he's coach of the year. He has to be. And to go forward and to get this pandemic behind us at some point and to get things back to normal, it's just like, well, if you look at what they did now, and then you factor in they're actually going to have all their practice time and all their face-to-face meeting time and all their developmental time that they didn't have this year, well, then they're only going to keep going up.
Yeah, it feels like it was yesterday that he was hired. I mean, this year's just gone by so quickly, but for them to handle everything thrown their way that the way they have this year, That's credit to the coaching staff where, every week they don't know if they're going to play or not.
Mm.
Where, Monday they get tested and everything like that. And if, let's say Alabama gets tested, they might go through the whole work week. And then on Friday they get told they can't play. So that's just a weird situation for everyone involved, but for them to be able to keep everyone engaged and have a game plan going in every week where, every Saturday they've shown something new. The guys have played hard. Um, so it's just a weird year, especially all SEC games. That's tough. To finish it off with Alabama, who rolled LSU yesterday. That's a good measuring stick for the future. And I think if KJ Jefferson plays, that's just great for the future, where he's going to go against the best and learn the speed of the game, and it's only going to get better.
All right, time to give out some game balls, Austin. We'll start with you.
Yeah, got to be KJ Jefferson. Being a backup, you don't know when your number's going to be called. So he's studying, he's preparing every day like he's a starter. And once his number is called, he's got to go out and play well, and that's what he did. I thought the guys rallied around him. I thought everyone had full faith in him, and he had complete control and command of the offense. So my game ball goes to him.
Yeah, I'd have to give it to the O-line. I think you look at obviously a big deal that KJ came in and did what he did, but the O-line to give him the time to throw 3 touchdowns, huge. O-line to open up the holes, to give Treylin Smith the yards. I think he had 170 around there. So for me, that it was a very big difference. I think they've done a good job all year, but I think this game in particular was a huge step forward for them.
Yeah, I think they earned it. Absolutely. Guys, thanks so much for the time. Always great to catch up with you. Like you said, Austin, next week, Alabama. So we'll get forward to looking forward to talking to that on Sunday. Guys, thanks so much.